disposable world, essential items of lasting beauty are increasing in worth. Experience the fulfillment of creating heirlooms for succeeding generations with your own hands.
Hi, my name is Frank Straza with the Heritage School of Woodworking, and in this video I'm going to go over how to sharpen a saw. First of all, I want to go over the different tools that you'll need and some of the different types of configurations for saw sharpening. We'll have a more in-depth video on saw restoration if you'll check out some of our other videos. In this video, I'm just going to go over the basics of saw sharpening. First of all, you're going to need files. I've got different size files, and that depends on the different size teeth. We have a 4-inch, some 6-inch files, a 7-inch file. You can buy some of these files. This one was bought from Home Depot. You can buy some of them from other suppliers, such as Tools for Working Wood and Lee Nielsen. They sell the Swiss-made files, which tend to be a little bit better than the Nicholsons. I've got a couple saw sets here, which will set the teeth. Got a little layout fluid. This is steel blue layout fluid, which is used for coloring the teeth so I can tell which tooth I'm filing. I've got a file here for jointing the teeth, that is making the teeth all level. And again, we'll probably go over this in future videos. Every saw, or any saw, can be sharpened in either one of two configurations. It can be either sharpened for rip or for crosscut, depending on what you're doing. The rip configuration is filed where the teeth are going straight across. So in other words, we'll take the file and we'll run the file 90 degrees to the face of the saw, perpendicular to the face of the saw here. The crosscut saw is sharpened at an angle, so we're actually sharpening about 20 degrees, alternating every single tooth. So we're going 20 degrees this way. That's the first set of angles that we're dealing with. The second set, and both of these saws have what we refer to as the rake angle. That's this angle right here. So if you look straight on, you can see this is called the rake angle. That is the angle that's leaning back towards the handle. So you see this angle here, it's leaning back towards the handle. I can vary the rake angle depending on the aggressiveness of the saw. If I want a more aggressive cut, then I'll advance the rake angle, make it more straight. If I want less aggressive, I'll actually back the rake angle down. Both a rip saw and a crosscut saw have rake angles. Again, that's the rake angle. The top angle, this one, where the saw goes straight like, the file rather goes straight like this, is called the fleam angle. The crosscut saw actually has a fleam angle of about 20 degrees. This one is just perfectly straight. Every saw has set to the teeth. That is, every single tooth, when you look down the saw, regardless of whether it's a rip saw or a crosscut saw, has set to the teeth. That is, one tooth is set this way, the other tooth is set this way. So when you look down the saw, the teeth are set like this. What the set allows you to do is it allows the saw, the actual plate of the saw, to be able to travel through the wood without binding. If you have no set, the saw can tend to bind as it goes through the wood. Too much set, and you're going to have a wide kerf, which is going to allow for a sloppy cut. It depends on what kind of wood you're cutting. If you're cutting soft wood, you want more of a set. If you're cutting hardwood, maybe a little less set. If you're cutting dovetails, you're going to want a very fine set for a fine line. A saw is set using a saw set. I've got two types of saw sets here. One is for fine teeth, and you can see the little plunger in there. And you'll see when I put this onto the saw, there's a clamp that goes forward, and the little plunger then goes in and it pushes the tooth and bends it. So this saw set is actually used for really fine teeth. And this one is for a little bit bigger teeth. You can see the little plunger there is a little bit bigger, and it pushes the tooth to the side. What we'll do when we set the teeth is we'll do every other tooth. You can see I'm working down the saw and doing every other tooth. Again, we have the clamp that comes forward, and then the plunger pushes the tooth to one side, working it down every other tooth, following down all the way down the saw. These saw sets are adjustable. There's numbers indicating the size it's adjusted from 1 to 10, and that number denotes how much set we want. I've got this set on an 8, which is a medium or fine set. If I put it on a 10, that would be the finest set, and obviously a 1 would be more set. So we'll work all the way down the saw, working this way. Then we'll come back and we'll work going the other way. So now I'm working the teeth that I did not bend initially. These are the opposite teeth, and they're bent in the opposite direction, giving us the curve. There's multiple steps to reconditioning a saw. You'll want to joint the teeth, shape the teeth, set the teeth, and sharpen the teeth. Right now I'm going to show you how we would just sharpen the teeth. That is where you have a saw that's, it's just dull. The teeth are already flat, they're shaped nicely, and it's maybe a saw that's just become a little dull, and we're just going to touch it up. We're going to sharpen it. And chances are it's probably already set, so you're not going to have to set it. You have to reset the saw maybe about every 5 sharpenings or so. When you file the teeth, you're removing metal, so consequently you are reducing the set. That is taking the set out, so then you've got to go back, reset the teeth. I like to use this layout fluid. This is wonderful stuff. It flows into the tooth, marking each tooth, and then when I file, I can actually file the mark away. Some people use a magic marker, but it's difficult to get a magic marker all the way in the tooth, and this stuff flows right in. This is steel blue layout fluid. I like to do it away from the bench because one drop and it'll dye my bench blue. So I'm just going to put this right on the teeth, and it comes right off of the teeth with a little bit of denatured alcohol. Just takes a little bit, and it gets right inside those teeth and marks them all nice and clear, and it dries pretty fast. We'll wipe the excess off. And let's begin sharpening. I'm right-handed. I like to put the handle to my left, and I'll put it in my saw vise. You need a saw vise to help hold the saw right up close to the teeth. If you put this in a regular vise, the saw may vibrate and it wouldn't be effective. So we've got to put this right up in the vise like this and clamp it down. I bought this one on the used market. You can buy them new, but you can also find them on the used market. Holds the teeth nice. Now let's use a file. I'm going to use the 6-inch double extra slim taper file. This is a file that I got from Home Depot. And it's a triangular shaped file. So I want this rake angle to be about 10 degrees. Now I could just set the file right in here and begin filing, but how do I know what that rake angle is? There's a simple block of wood here. I've marked a 10-degree mark. That is a 10-degree rake angle. I've drilled a hole in this block of wood, and I'm going to stick the file in this with this side of the file in line with that 10-degree mark. And we'll just knock that right in there. And now, if I keep this perfectly flat on the face, we have our 10-degree rake angle. A rip saw is the easiest of the saws to sharpen. I just sharpen every single tooth straight across like this, 90 degrees, making sure we keep the file nice and level. And we're just going to do every single tooth straight across. Now, I want to try to do an even stroke, and you can see the marks going away. I'm going to do an even stroke on every single tooth. That is even pressure the entire length of the file and the same number of strokes. And more of the same. That pretty much concludes this video on sharpening. Check out our other videos for a more in-depth sharpening process for restoring a saw, that is, jointing the teeth, setting the teeth, shaping the teeth, and then finally sharpening. And also check out our video on sharpening a crosscut saw.